Hey everyone, welcome back to my Earth Friendly Kitchen. I'm Maria, your host, and today we're going to be doing a spatchcocked turkey over some stuffing. I totally planned on making this before the holidays, but first of all, my store ran out of turkeys, so we had to get a rain check. But then I was delayed because some of you know with John's video that he posted earlier a couple weeks ago, had a bit of an injury. I'm doing much better, still not 100%, but everything is going well. So I appreciate you guys sticking with us, and we met 1,000 subscribers this week, so I was super excited about that. I appreciate all of you for watching and subscribing. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please click the button, and we'll go ahead and get started with our meal. So we're just going to start by chunking up or cutting up some sourdough bread that I have. It's a couple of days old. I made it the other day, and we're just going to put it into cubes, and that's going to be the start of our stuffing. It's going to kind of serve as the rack, like underneath the turkey, if you would put like a regular turkey in a roaster pan, because the purpose of that is so that air circulates underneath the bird and gets the whole bird nice and cooked like all the way around. In case you didn't know that, that was the reason. So we're just going to be cubing it up in about 1/2-inch cubes or so for the stuffing. You want it to be like, bite-sized. You don't want it to be too chunky. You also want to make sure that it's able to absorb, the butter and the broth and things like that we're going to put in it, and the turkey drippings. This is a great way to use up any sourdough that might be, getting to its age prime before it starts getting bad. You could even do this and make croutons if you wanted to. You just drizzle them with some olive oil or butter, season them up a little bit, throw them in the oven, roast them for 10-15 minutes or so until they're a little bit crispy, and that would be great to put away and serve as croutons at some point. Okay, this is looking really great. You want to have about 2 or 3 cups of chopped up bread cubes here for your stuffing, enough to be able to line a sheet pan. But don't forget, we're going to add a little bit to this with the carrots and celery and onion as well. Okay, I'm actually going to throw all that breadcrumb in there too, so that it helps with a little bit of binding. Okay, and we're going to put it in a bowl for now because we're going to kind of mix this up and then just dump it in our sheet pan. And then we're also going to do 2 carrots chopped up nice and small, and I have what I had left of the celery. There's actually some kind of small stalks here, so we're doing like 3, maybe technically 4 celery stalks, but they're a little bit smallish. If you have big ones, then probably maybe 2 or 3. Just gonna peel our carrots here, and we're gonna throw our peels and all of our ends of everything into our freezer bag. This is empty because I just made some fresh broth, which we're actually gonna be using in our stuffing today. This is where it's really helpful, it becomes, lower cost to make holiday meals and stuff when you use what you already have in the pantry or your freezer, or, everything when you repurpose and you try to reduce waste as much as possible. And when I chop up carrots, I like to start with cutting them into sticks, almost like quarters, with the celery, and then, so I cut them in half and then cut them in half again. And this usually gives you really nice small bite-sized bites. And then you just want to chop them pretty finely. You don't want to do too small because then they'll just disappear when you cook them. All right, throw that right into your bowl. And we're going to do the same thing with our celery stalks. Just going to cut off these edges here. Throw them in our freezer bag. And then for the celery stalks, depending on how big they are, like these small guys, you're just going to really cut them in half. For the wider guys, you might make 2 cuts so that they get nice and bite-sized pieces. The same chop for them. Make sure you tuck in your fingers in so that we don't get pieces of finger in the stuffing. Okay, right in. And then I'm also going to do half of this onion, and we'll save the other half for another day, another recipe. But I'm gonna cut it lengthwise and then going to chop off this little end here. Again, even the peels go into my scrappy broth, so everything has flavor. And then I'm just gonna take this onion, cut it down the center there, make some marks across the top, and then chop it along the other side. And a very easy, fast onion chop. And oh, there's the oven. We preheated the oven to 400 degrees because we're spatchcocking the turkey. It's gonna cook a lot faster than if you were to cook it traditional way. And so, you know, we're gonna set it to a little bit of a higher temp so that our outside gets nice and crispy brown while the inside stays nice and moist and tender. Okay. All right, so here is my bread with my celery and carrots and onions. I'm gonna give that a nice mix. And then I'm going to melt about 3 tablespoons of butter to add to our stuffing. You know, just gives it a little bit of umptiousness, a little bit of, you know, that fat from the butter just really helps kind of, you know, marry a lot of the flavors. Perfect. You don't want it to be boiling hot to where the butter starts to separate, you know, the milk fats from the actual oils of the butter. So have that. Give that a little mix. I'm also going to be adding 1 egg. And I'm just going to beat the egg up before adding it. This is going to help bind our stuffing. Now we're gonna season it, of course. So we're gonna add a little bit of kosher salt, about a teaspoon. Do about a ½ teaspoon of onion powder, ½ teaspoon of garlic powder, about a teaspoon of thyme, ½ teaspoon of sage. And we're going to add about a tablespoon and a half or so of parsley. Okay, let me give that a mix. All right. Now we're going to add a little bit of chicken broth that I made homemade. You obviously can make it yourself. You can make it from a box, whatever you want to do. And you want to add enough to where it's moist but not soaking wet, because we're also going to, since this is going to be underneath the turkey, it's going to absorb a lot of the turkey drippings too. So it's going to add moisture as it cooks as well. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. That was about a cup so far, maybe 3/4 of a cup for this amount. And yeah, I guess I'm going to put the rest, another 1/4 cup. Okay, great. This is looking really nice. So then what we're gonna do is we're going to have my turkey resting over here first. Take this out. Just add your stuffing right to the pan and flatten it out. And it should cover pretty much the entire pan. Like I said, you want a little bit of air circulation, which is how this is going to help the turkey cook. Also underneath. Beautiful. It just looks so good already, and it smells amazing already. All right, so then we're gonna swap places with our turkey. Now, spatchcocking a turkey sounds very daunting, right? And what spatchcocking means is essentially we're going to be laying the turkey flat across our stuffing. The reason why we do this is so that way we can help the chicken, help the turkey breast cook as evenly as the turkey legs. Because if you ever notice when you make a turkey the regular way, unless you take very special precautions to like cover it, make sure that it doesn't dry out, the white meat is almost always more dry than the actual turkey legs. And so that's why a lot of people eat the dark meat versus the white meat. Then you wind up having to do something with it. So spatchcocking kind of helps alleviate that a little bit. Now, when you get a turkey from the store, it's always dressed this way, and it's usually prepared for you as well. Meaning well, this one actually comes with turkey gravy. That's kind of cool. Put that over there. And they've already cut the neck and kind of hid it inside. So we're gonna take that out for now. And then it also has in it the innards. These we're gonna use along with the backbone that we're gonna take off to make our gravy. We might add a little bit of this gravy just for like extra volume, but for the most part, we're just gonna make our own. So you want the legs to be open. You wanna flip the bird on its stomach, on the breastbone, and you'll see this part right here that's sticking out. This is the backbone, and this is what we're gonna remove to help allow the turkey to remain flat. And this is what we're gonna use for our gravy. So you face it away from yourself, okay? And you're gonna feel that there's some joints here with the wing bones right into the spine. And I don't know where my scissors are. I have to go find them. Give me a second. I'm back. They were in the sink when I cut the bag open. All right, so you're gonna find the joints here with the wings into the spine, and you're just going to start making an incision. Now you're gonna be a little bit rough with it because you're cutting through bone. It's gonna take a little bit of effort, a little bit of muscle. And then cut around the same side. Now be careful because it is bone, so it's a little sharp if you cut the sides. And then when you get to the bottom, you're gonna be separating it from the legs. We could try this way from the back to get it the rest of the way. There we go. And there we go. Now this is the spine, and we're gonna use that for our gravy. Now you're gonna flip it back over, okay? And we're gonna break the breastbone. Ready? Okay. Okay. Isn't that so nice and beautiful? All right, now the last part before, we're just gonna kind of stick our hands in. I'm gonna flip this around before we put our turkey on the pan. We're just gonna stick our hands in and kind of separate the skin from the meat, but be gentle because you don't want to tear it. I'm not trying to create holes. I just want to create a space for us to put our butter in. You're going to do that in both the legs and the breast. About half a cup plus 2 tablespoons of butter. Here, I'm just going to use what I have. And obviously, if you're touching raw meat like this, raw poultry especially, don't be touching all the things unless you know that what you are touching is either going in the garbage or going to be washed or going to be used. You want to be careful of cross-contamination, okay? I'm just going to put 2 tablespoons in this thigh, and we'll do another 2 tablespoons in the thigh here, and we'll do 1 tablespoon into the drummy each, and then we'll do the last few tablespoons, probably do 2 tablespoons each in the breast on either side. So put them, okay, just kind of smush it in there. Okay, so we're going to pick this guy up and lay him out on top of our, we're going to place the tail and the neck underneath him because we don't want them to get over dried out, so that way they stay nice and moist as well. And tuck them in, okay, just like that. And on top, you want to kind of pat him dry so that he's not super wet. This is going to help the skin get nice and brown. And then we're going to season. But I'm going to wash my hands before I touch my seasoning, so I'll be right back. All right, so I realized that if my turkey that I showed you was in front of here, you probably didn't see it because of the camera angle. So now you can see how beautifully it's laying across the stuffing. So I patted it dry. The neck and the tail are underneath, right? Because we do want to eat those still. And then we're going to just season this a little bit. We're going to sprinkle with some kosher salt again. You could also season the butter if you want to. That goes inside underneath the skin. Like you could make like a compound butter if you wanted to and just season there. You know, totally up to you guys. I'm gonna just sprinkle a little pepper. A little garlic powder. This is probably maybe a quarter teaspoon of everything because it's gonna have such beautiful flavor on its own. And the stuffing, you know, you wanna celebrate the turkey, not kind of wash it out. And a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder, okay? And that's it, and we're going to cook this. So traditionally you would cook a turkey per pound at about 15 minutes per pound. This was a 10-pound turkey, but because we spatchcocked it, we're going to take away some of the time, and we're also cooking at a higher heat. So we're gonna be doing this at 400 degrees for about an hour. We wanna do about 6 to 8 minutes per pound when you spatchcock, and we'll see what it looks like when it comes out. See you guys in a bit. Okay everyone, so our turkey has been out of the oven for about 15 minutes now or so. You always want to let any kind of protein that you're cooking kind of rest for a few minutes before you cut into it, because you want those juices to come back into the meat and just make it, you know, that much more unctuous. You don't want to cut into it right away and all those juices run out when it's super hot. I did bring it up to temp. You know, turkey and chicken and things like that, you want to worry about your bacteria. So it's just a simple thermometer that you can buy. They're pretty cheap these days. This one actually runs through all different types of proteins. So I turned mine to turkey, which is 165 degrees, and I checked multiple places in the turkey because a very well-known thing that can happen is that the dark meat always cooks faster than the white meat, and so you want to make sure that the whole bird is up to temp. If you just check one part, you may actually get a raw piece in another part. So that's how we bring it up to temp. So now that it's been resting, our stuffing looks really delicious. There's some little crispy edges here that'll be going out again to the compost or to the foxes, but for the most part, everything looks really good. And of course, we've already been picking pieces out and it is unbelievable. But let's go ahead and cut into the bird and see how it looks. So you have a nice crispy skin here. That's exactly what we're hoping for. It's gonna peel away from your turkey when you cut into it, and should just cut really beautifully down the breast. I like white meat. My husband, my mother-in-law like the dark meat, so I'm gonna pick a piece of this white meat out first, also just to show how tender and juicy it is, because honestly, if your white meat is dry, your dark meat could be dry too. But look how beautiful that looks. Look at the moisture that we have here in this bird. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Such a nice sheen, super crispy skin. I mean, you can't ask for better than that. Looks so, so good. And then we have a little bit of our gravy here. I did add the actual scraps that we had used originally for the stuffing. I went ahead and added those with the neck and the gizzards from the inside of the turkey. I added some chicken broth in there as well. And then we strained it. And then once we strained it, I added it back to the pot, and with the concentrate, and then I took a little bit out and added some flour, about half a cup of flour to half a cup of the stock, and I mixed it up before adding it back to the thing. And I put it in a little bit at a time. I did wind up using the whole thing, but a little bit at a time so you didn't get chunky pieces of like flour that could create like dumplings in your gravy. But it just came out really perfectly, and so I'm just going to take a nice bite here. I mean, you can see, you can cut through this with a fork. It's so tender. I mean, Who said you can only eat turkey on Thanksgiving or the holidays? This is why I wanted to go ahead and make this video anyways, even though the holidays are past us, because you could do this any time of the year. You could do this with a chicken if you wanted to, as opposed to a turkey, and it would actually take less time because chickens are smaller and they cook faster. So, I mean, try it. Try it anytime during the year, anytime you want that nostalgic holiday feel. This is going to be the perfect meal for you. Don't be afraid of spatchcocking your turkey. It is the best way to make sure that the breasts stay just as tender as the thighs. And I hope you guys try it. If you do, don't forget to let me know in the comments. And also don't forget to like and subscribe for more recipes throughout the year. I look forward to sharing them with you. See you guys later. Bye.